something. Good morning, AO Southwest. My name is Paul Vasallo, Director of Leadership Development for the Vini Camp Agency, and we are coming to you live from the Phoenix studio today. It is a beautiful, beautiful day out here in Phoenix. It is Tuesday, March 12th, and we have an absolutely amazing call for you today. Not only do we have a recognition section like we've never had before, talking about the breakthroughs that we were discussing last week, it is evident that you went out and are fighting for what you want this week already. And what's more exciting is this isn't even the standings for the week. And so we are so excited about for what you guys are about to do for the rest of the month on recognition. But we've got a great leadership message for you today as well. We have law number 9, the law of magnetism, from John C. Maxwell's 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, that we're going to be able to deliver for you today as well. But most importantly, we have the star of the hour. Miss Jessie Holland is live in the studio with us today. She was the #1 producer last week in every single category, so you will see her name quite a bit coming up. But she has developed herself into one of the top leaders in this agency, and so we are so excited to hear from her today about her tips of how to go from 0 to 60 ultimately overnight in her first year, the amount of success that she's already had. So I hope your pen and paper is ready. Stay tuned, because we're going to have a great show for you today. And so before we get into the recognition, we got a couple of housekeeping things we want to touch on. Want to make sure, because we're transitioning to YouTube, that you log in and sign into the comment section, because the moderator will be able to track the all of the people in attendance, because we want to make sure that every leader is on the call every single week. And then second thing, most importantly, make sure you stay tuned in all the way to the very end, because we have a huge incentive prize for you to be able to win today, and we'll touch on that here in a little bit at the end. So let's get right into it and recognize all you top leaders for everything that you went out and did last week. So we're talking about referrals collected today. It's not possible to get a referral sit if you don't collect the referral. And so when you look at these numbers, traditionally speaking, you'll see number 10 around 30 or 35 referrals. To get in the game, you had to have 50 referrals collected this past week. And so Abe Ornelas out of Chicago, Illinois, and Trey Bestwick out of Tempe coming in at 10th place with 49 referrals collected. Congratulations for the two of you. We have Chad and Destiny out of the Tempe office as well, coming at number 9 at 50 referrals collected. Heidi Schletsky out of Chicago, number 8, 51 referrals collected. Devin Palomino out of Dallas, Texas, out there with Justin Herman and his crew, 55 referrals collected, with he and Christy Morris with 55 for number 7 today at a tie for last week. Naeem out of the Tempe office, 58 referrals collected last week. Claudia Shirelli out of the Tempe office as well. If you don't notice a theme, Tempe is coming to play. 61 referrals collected last week. Claudia, good job. Keep up the good work. Abby Ames, one of the up-and-coming rock stars, only in her 3rd week released, collected 72 referrals last week, number 4 out of the Phoenix office. Lamar Smith, he is running and gunning for the top spot. Every time I talk to Lamar, he is more excited. 76 referrals collected, coming in at number 3. I know he's not satisfied with number 3. Ramsey Holler, big numbers coming from Ramsey, so you'll stay tuned to he and Lamar tied at number 3 with 76. Mr. Larry Potluck, Mr. Consistency, coming in at number 2 with 87 referrals collected. And the one and only Jessie Holland, number 1 this week with 128 referrals collected. Jessie, good job. Keep up the good work. And now you collect the referral. Now it's time to go ahead and book the referral and go see those families. And so you see here, just to get in the game, we have 7 tied at number 5. At number 10 with 5 referral sits. We have 6 tied at number 9 with 6 referral sits, just to get on the second page of referral presentations. But to get in the game, we had 3 tied at number 7, 4 tied at 7th place with 8 referrals. But coming in at tied for 6, Trey Bestwick again and Naeem. You hear the names in common again, just shy of double-digit referral presentations at 9 this past week. And coming in at number 5, Jonathan Willie. Big dog Jonathan Willie came in with 10 referral presentations last week and got his first double-digit week, and we're proud of you, Jonathan. Keep up the good work. Lamar Smith, 11 referral presentations. Again, you'll continue to see his name week in and week out. Cynthia coming in with 11 referral presentations with Lamar, tied for 4th place. Christy Morris, the one and only out of the Tempe office, 14 referral presentations last week. Christy, great job. Ramsey Holler, 16 referral presentations. And Ramsey, that's a great job. Any other week that most likely would be number 1. But when Jessie Holland goes out for the trifecta, a clean sweep, 20 referral presentations last week. An amazing job, Jessie. Congratulations. Keep up the good work. Now, another life protected. This is ultimately why we're all in the business, to make an impact on the families and to make an impact for your family. To just get on the list, to get in the game for 4,000. You see all of the people here with 4,000 and above in premium. The next slide is the 5K slide. We've got Mitch Messer coming in at 51.05, Alita Perez at 52.72, Christian Hill 52.91, and Alejandro Morales at 56.04. And that's not even to get in the top 10. And that's where the standards are moving, and that's what's so exciting. Heidi Schletsky coming in at number 10. Andrew Ruiz, 6,626 at number 9. Devin Palomino, 8,096 in premium last week. Devin, great job coming in at 8th place, excuse me. Naeem, out of the Tempe office, 8,271 coming in at 7th place. Christy Morris, you've seen her name all over the leaderboard this week and in weeks past, coming in 6th place at 9,727 in premium. Ramsey Holler, again, a very common name on the leaderboard this week, coming in 5th place, 9,939 in premium this past week. Abby Ames, a star in the making out of the Phoenix office, again, in her 3rd week release, she is over 11,289 in premium, coming in 4th place. Lamar Smith, so excited for Cameron and his future, a young stud coming out of the Tempe office as well, 14,346, and I think I heard Cam say he had some crazy number like 7,300 come out of one household alone, with multiple families protected. So Cam, keep up the good work. And Jessie Holland, the clean sweep this week, another life protected, #1 again, 14,967. And what's so important for you all to remember is, of all of these premium numbers, remember, these agents are taking home a little bit over 50% of what they wrote this past week. So keep that in mind as you go out there and fight for your breakthrough. Go out there and do big things, and you'll reap the rewards as well. Now, we're starting a new category this week, the productivity category. Why productivity is so important is because when you talk about the 4 key areas of the business for Dustin Vienicamp to build the agents and train them in, the first is sales, the second is recruiting and training, the third is leadership development, and the fourth is productivity. Productivity is ultimately consistency. And so when you see this score here, you see the green highlighted point value next to the top 10. If you come in 1st place, you get 10 points. You come in 10th place, you get 1 point. And so congratulations to all of those names that you see on the list here today. Coming in at number 10, Trey Bestwick and Jonathan Willey with 6 points. Cynthia with 7 points. Number 8 with Devin and Larry with 9 points. Claudia Shirelli coming in at 10 points. Cameron Ponder, 13 productivity. Naeem with 14. Abby Ames with 16. Christy Morris with 17. Lamar Smith, 23 points. Ramsey Holler, 23 points. And the first clean sweep ever, Jessie Holland with 30 productivity points, coming in at #1. And so the next slide is going to take the consistency score. Why the consistency score is so important is because you're looking at the total productivity points over the last 4 weeks divided by the 4 weeks. And we want to give a quick shout out to the top 10 with Alexi Yee and Devin Palomino coming in at number 10, Mitch Messer and Cameron Ponder number 9, Heidi Schletsky and Zach Rivas at number 8, Christy Morris at number 7, Jonathan Willey at number 6, Abby Ames number 5, tied with Ramsey Holler as well, Gerard Armstrong coming in consistently at number 4, Lamar Smith number 3, Jessie Holland number 2. So she was just eked out by Mr. Consistency himself, Larry Potluck. Congratulations on the last 4 weeks of showing up week in and week out, collecting referrals, booking referrals, and helping those referral families. Larry, keep up the good work, and I'm sure Jessie will be coming for you next week. Now, we're going to go ahead and transition into a video from our #1 producer from last week. Jessie Holland is going to talk to you about what her mindset shift was going into her biggest week ever. Jessie, go ahead and take it away.
Good morning, AO Southwest. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jessie Holland. I'm going to just share a few tips about how I was able to achieve my biggest week ever. So, coming back from San Jose, the focus was to immediately start implementing everything I learned from riding with Jenny Kim. So I knew to get to a huge week, I had to be referral focused. So going into the week, my focus was just to collect referrals fund, but the focus was to get ready and geared up for a really, really big month. So go ahead and take those tips and make it your biggest month ever.
Congratulations, Jessie, again on your best week ever. We're so excited to see what you do for the rest of the week. Now, or excuse me, the rest of the month. And now what we're going to do is we're going to transition into the leadership message today, going from John C. Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And a quick recap of the last couple of weeks. We're talking about law #1, law of the lid. People can only go as far as their leadership ability. Law #2, law of influence. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Law number 3, the law of the process. What is your plan for personal growth, and what intentional steps are you taking to implement that plan? Law number 4 is the law of navigation. Anyone can steer the ship, but it takes a leader to chart the course. Leaders who are capable of navigating can take their people just about anywhere. Law number 5, law of addition. Bottom line in leadership isn't how far we advance ourselves, but how far we advance others. That is achieved by serving others and adding value to their lives. Law number 6, the law of solid ground. Trust is the foundation of leadership. Remember that. Law number 6, trust is the foundation of leadership. Law number 7, law of respect. If you're a 7 as a leader, 8, 9, or 10 aren't likely to follow you, regardless of how well you plan and how well of a plan you devise. So what can you do about it? Become a better leader. There's always room to grow. Law number 8, the law of intuition, was last week, and we talked about leadership is rarely more of an art, or excuse me, it's really more of an art than a science. It changes with every leader in every situation. If you want to lead long, lead well, and stay ahead of others, you've got to obey the law of intuition. And now law number 9. Today we're talking about the law of magnetism. And what John C. Maxwell talks about today is the law of magnetism. What determines if the people you want what determines if the people you want are the people you get? Who you attract isn't determined by what you want, but instead by who you are. Who you are is who you attract. And so when you come into this business, a lot of times, in speaking to the young up and coming leaders, you haven't developed yourself as a business owner yet. You haven't developed yourself potentially as a leader yet. And so it's very important for you to understand that you are going to attract most likely the type of people at where you are in your career. Now, he goes on to say, your organization will begin to take shape of who you are. Most organizations take the shape of their leader by age or characteristics. So again, maintaining a high moral code, maintaining high integrity, your agency will continue to follow you in that sense. He touches on 5 key areas. Attitude. Rarely do positive and negative people attract to one another. Rarely do positive people want to hear about how bad things are. Attitude is one of the most contagious qualities of that human beings possess. Is yours worth catching? Again, let's talk about that. Attitude is one of the most contagious qualities a human being possesses. Is yours worth catching? The next area he goes into is background. People with the same characteristics normally attract those characteristics. People who are educated tend to put a lot of emphasis on education. People who are playing football, they tend to take a lot of value from those who have played the game before. And so background is very key. So developing yourself and developing what I always tell people is your resume. When you have a resume and a background, people will want to follow. Values. People are attracted to leaders whose values are like their own. It doesn't matter if it's a positive or negative. And think of, John C. Maxwell uses this example. If you think of someone even like Adolf Hitler, he was very influential, but were his values good? No, they weren't. And so what kind of people did he attract? Now you think of somebody like Mother Teresa. What kind of values did she portray? Who was she able to attract? And so when you're building your organization, what type of values are you building your organization on? Energy. This is one of the most important parts of building your agency, having positive energy. When you pair a high energy person with a low energy person, they drive each other crazy. The high energy person thinks that the low energy person is lazy, and the low energy person is absolutely driven crazy by the high energy person. So keeping your energy high and attracting those with other high energy as well is important. Lastly, giftedness. People do not go out looking for mediocre leaders to follow. They are looking for someone who possesses their type of talent, or someone who can take them to where they want to go. So when you think about this, he talks about people are normally in 2 different places. The first is they say, I'm not crazy about the people I'm attracting. Am I stuck in my current situation? And what John C. Maxwell says is the answer is no. Embrace the law of the process, be intentional about what you're going to do, and work to increase your leadership skill. You want to grow the organization, you have to grow the leader. So again, I'm going to say that, I'm going to repeat that. You want to grow the organization, you have to grow the leader. And number two, so the first one was you're not crazy about where you are and the people you're attracting. The second position is I like who I am and I like who I'm attracting. Well, that's great, he says, but begin to work towards hiring people that fill in your weaknesses. The challenge with so many type A personalities in one room, people have to be able to fill in the different roles. And so if you are the visionary, or if you are the person who brings systems or structure to the table, make sure that you can challenge yourself to hire and train and develop the visionary if you're the person who runs the structure. Or if you're the visionary, make sure that you are potentially in a position to hire the person who can bring the structure to the table. And lastly, we're going to end with this. Who you are is who you attract. That is the law of magnetism. If you want to attract better people, become the kind of person you desire to attract. One more time. If you want to attract better people, become the kind of person you desire to attract. And so that wraps up our leadership message for the day, coming from John C. Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. We are so excited about bringing Miss Jessie Holland to the podcast today, because not only did she come out and absolutely crush last week and implement the changes she just shared with you, but she has grown from her first year in the business to being one of the most recognizable figures, one of the top leaders in the company, and she is a lady boss in her own right. So please help me welcome Miss Jessie Holland. How are you this morning?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So Jessie, thank you for taking the time to spend your morning with us. And so we're going to jump into a little bit about your story and, you know, who you are as a woman. And so tell us what you did prior to AIO and how did it prepare you for when you, or where you are today?
So prior to AIL, I was serving part-time and trying to get into real estate.
Okay.
Wasn't too successful with real estate, so when this opportunity came around, I obviously jumped on it with Jacob. I was really excited about it, and I was obviously in for the money, but I realized after being with the company for a few months, what was missing in real estate was mentorship that we had here, the people first, culture, stuff like that, and I think that's what really
stood out to you?
Yeah, stood out to me, yeah.
So touch on that a little bit, because mentorship, I think, is something that potentially could be the most undervalued asset ultimately when someone comes to a company, because when you get hired to a new company, probably the first part, or probably the first question that's not being asked in the interview is, who's going to mentor me?
Right.
Right. So why was that so important for you? You mentioned that it was missing in real estate. Why was mentorship so important?
I felt like real estate was like so cutthroat, and they only focused on the people that were doing really, really well. So here, even though I wasn't top producer my first like 5 or 6 months, I still always had people's help, and I felt like people cared about me, and they wanted to see me be successful, and they believed in me. So that was huge.
So did that care and that belief help propel you forward?
Absolutely. Kept me going. Absolutely.
Good. So when you took your SA promotion, we talked about this a little bit earlier. You said you didn't feel ready,
yes,
right? And so, but you took it anyway, right? So with that being said, what made you decide to step up to the plate and grow into one of the company's top supervising agents, when even though you felt at the time that you weren't ready?
Yes, I was not ready. I was terrified. I remember Jacob and David were like, all right, it's time, Jessie, to step up. And my biggest concern wasn't being a good trainer, or maybe I'm not showing a bunch of sales, but when it really came down to it, the biggest thing was I had to take the pressure off myself and just put it on the system. So when I became a trainer, that's actually when my career took off, because I actually had like an accountability partner. I wasn't spending 8 hours in the car alone every day. I actually had someone to talk to, and it really changed everything for me. I honestly think that being an SA is the most important person in the MGA ship, because it's essentially like a domino effect. If your SAs aren't training the agents correctly or taking it seriously, then I feel like the whole MGA ship could crash. So being an SA is a very, very big deal, and I'm so glad that I was able to take my promotion. Well,
and touch on the accountability a little bit, because again, when people are thinking about taking an SA, a supervising agent contract, they are maybe used to being in the car by themselves, and how did that extra accountability help your growth and help raise your leadership lid to hold you accountable a little bit more?
I think it was like when you teach people things, you obviously learn it better.
Absolutely.
So like Mark Nielsen said, basically if you don't train your agents correctly, you're essentially ruining their career. So I had to make sure I was doing at least Opportunity Unlimited, showing 12 to 9 and what we had to do on a day-to-day basis, you know. But having them there as your accountability partner, so I have to be in the field by 12 every single day, and then doing that, showing them, leading by example.
So I mean, there's a little bit of pressure that comes with that when you think about what Mark said, and our leader Dustin Veenekamp talks about all the time. I mean, ultimately, you could be ruining someone's life, right? Because look at how wonderful of a life Dustin and Holly have built. If Dustin wasn't trained properly, right? You know, you think about what that could be. But when you talk about the accountability, though, for you, that helped you tremendously as well.
It did.
Good.
Absolutely.
Now, when you talked about when we were discussing beforehand, you talked about making the decision to start investing in recruiting, but you did it a little bit later in the game, didn't you? Okay, so why are you focused on starting to invest in your business now, and what would you say to the newest person in the company about when they should start investing?
So I didn't believe really in recruiting at first because I felt like I need to make the money first. I need to show that I can train all my people, but it actually kind of set me really far back from my MGA ship. So recently I obviously know I want to become MGA, I want to grow an agency, so I've been investing in recruiting to definitely build my agency, as well as I've been working a lot on personal recruiting.
Good. And so why do you feel like it set you back because it's been a little bit over a year now, correct?
Yeah.
So why do you feel like it set you back from not starting to recruit initially to build your agency right away versus, you know, about a year into it?
I definitely could have had probably a lot more agents.
At this point in time?
Yeah.
Okay. And so that's where I think one of the younger agents, when they're coming in, it is very focused on, hey, I need to learn this myself.
Right.
But also you said something very powerful earlier, put the pressure on the system, right?
Yep.
You're not responsible as the newest agent to train your whole organization.
Exactly.
Right? That falls on the leadership, the Jessie Hollands of the world, to make sure that they're trained properly.
Yes.
Now, how have you learned from being on incentive trips, you know, to Cabo, the advisory council? What has it taught you about investing in yourself and really growing yourself and getting out of your comfort zone? Because you've done some things recently that you could argue that not a lot of people are doing, right? But it's forced you to get out of your comfort zone. So tell everybody a little bit about what you've been doing to invest in yourself and really grow yourself.
Right, so I haven't really been in a trainer's car since I did take my SA ship. So when Veenekamp invited me to Cabo, that was honestly the best time of my life. I had so much fun. Got to really get to know all the top producers, and that's where I built a really good relationship with Jenny Kim, and I was able to reach out and ask her if I could come ride with her and learn from her. So investing in myself to get better and learn obviously really helped me this week. So what would you attribute to, obviously, you know, having the top producer in the company pour into you for a week helps, right? Yeah.
But what would you say what did you take away the most from her mindset? You know, how the environment, because Mark Nielsen's doing amazing things out there in San Jose, right? So what did you learn about their mindset because they're people like you, right?
Yeah.
She's a young, sharp woman like you, right?
Yeah.
So it's not that she's any better or any worse. It's what did you learn about how they approach the game to win it? What did you take away from their mindset?
Oh my gosh, I took so much. They just don't stop. They just go. They're so motivated. They focus a lot on numbers. They like kind of compete with each other to make things fun. So we've kind of focused on that with the dynasty in our team. So just seeing that it's possible was the biggest thing. Knowing that she's doing exactly what we are doing, being on script. There was just small little tweaks. Like Tina Janty said, it's small things that can take you from 4,000 to 7,000 every single week. So just going there and realizing, okay, I'm not doing anything too different. I just need to focus more on like this and that to get to a bigger goal. And that was all I pretty much took from it. Absolutely.
And then, you know, lastly, talk to the people about what your 2019 goals are, but also how can you, or how do you need to continue to develop yourself as a woman to be able to achieve those 2019 goals? Because I know we talked about them, they're big goals.
Yes.
I know you can absolutely achieve them, but how do you need to grow and develop in order to hit your 2019 goals?
So I'm going for 2 big goals this year. I want to go MGA, and then I'm also going for top 10 Olympic team. So Obviously, going for top 10 Olympic team is the biggest goal I've probably ever set for myself. So it's really scary, but it's getting me uncomfortable and it's getting me out of bed every day. So that's exciting. Sure. And to get there, I just have to keep developing as a leader. I need to keep investing in my business and myself to continue to learn, grow every day.
So you're being an MGA and going top 10, they're not mutually exclusive. They can be done together?
Yes.
They will be done together?
I'm going to show it's possible.
Okay, so you're going to lead the charge. And so to forget, you know, she came from a serving background in real estate, so you didn't really know insurance too well, did you? Nothing?
Nothing.
Okay, and so you can be in her seat a year from now on the advisory council, going for top 10, being one of the top agents in the company, when you think about not having any sort of background in the insurance industry or being in business for yourself, correct?
Right.
Okay. Then she felt like she was missing mentorship, and so being able to have people like Dustin Camp and David Carpenter, you know, that can directly mentor you, how important has that been?
It's been very important. Definitely, if you're struggling, always lean on your managers and your mentors. They're there to help you. Absolutely,
because they've poured the care and belief in you, maybe in your low times and your high times?
Yes,
absolutely. Now, then you said put the pressure on the system, and I think this is the biggest challenge that goes out to all of the young, up-and-coming next-generation leaders today is put the pressure on the system. We talk about 12 to 9 during the week, 9 to 6 on the weekends, and obviously in a push month where you're going to go after it a little bit more. But referrals, put the pressure on the system, because you did 20 referral presentations last week. You wrote 15,000.
Yes.
So in essence, if you would have only done 10 referral presentations, mathematically, you would have only wrote 7.5K.
Right.
Right, and so put the pressure on the system. Let the referral presentations dictate how much premium you're going to write, how many families you're going to help. So that was very, very valuable, Jessie. I'm glad you brought that up. The accountability also, being a supervisor, taking on that extra leadership role, because it's no longer about who?
Me.
About you, right? It's about the newest person in your car, developing them, because ultimately what Mark Nielsen always says is you're training this person and you're influencing ultimately and impacting the rest of their life and their future. And so taking that very seriously, because you wouldn't raise your child to be a C or D average student, right?
No.
So making sure that you can raise your new agents up in the business in a very high standard in a great way is very important. And then your big goals for this year, MGA and top 10. Is there anything else that you want to finish the call off with?
No, just go hard this month. Let's kill it.
Okay, well, I spoke to Jessie earlier today. She wasn't too quick to give up the #1 spot. I know there's some people out there, I've talked to you all, the Lamar Smiths, the Larry Potlucks of the world, that are coming for Jessie this week, and so we're very excited to see who's doing what next week. I know there's some sleepers out there too. There's some dark giants that are coming for Jessie Holland's #1 spot next week. But before we go, we talked about it at the very beginning. We've got a huge incentive drop today to make sure that you're plugged into the very end. Coach Camp has offered to do a 10-minute phone call individually for the person who has the best takeaway from today's phone call, or excuse me, podcast. So what you're gonna see on the hashtags at the bottom of the screen, hashtag Takeaway Tuesday, hashtag NextGen Leadership, what the comments are going to have the instructions on what to do, but basically you're going to take a quick story of yourself, post it on your Instagram, talk about what your best takeaway was from the leadership message, from Jessie's message today. Make sure you tag Takeaway Tuesday and NextGen Leadership, tag all Miss Jessie Holland and the agency. All of the information is in the description on the YouTube link, and when you tag the agency, we're going to see and pick out the best takeaways for this week, and next week we're going to announce the winner of who's going to win a 10-minute phone call, just you and Dustin Camp as our leader and our coach to help build your business and take it to the next level. So wow. Jessie Holland, thank you again for your time. Team, go out there and take this week and build on it. Go see more referral families, and let's make it the best week we've had yet.